Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Monday, September 25th, 2023. I'm your host, Jon Jeune. And of course, I got my guy Greg here with me to break down, recap the Week 3 Fantasy Football week and football in general. Greg, how we feeling today, man?
Feeling good. My week ended earlier, so Thursday night we saw what happened. Giants doing 5-yard per play options, but we're on to Sunday. Sunday was a good week. Some crazy scores out there. Definitely some crazy games. Fantasy wise, it was tough. Injury bug is really getting to me right now. So hopefully we got to sustain, get to next week. Hopefully, and for the people out there too. Hopefully Joe Burrow plays tonight. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, you out here talking about Giants getting 5 yards per play. I was at the Jets game yesterday with my dad, and at one point at halftime, I'm like, I don't know if they're ever going to score. And I'm talking to my dad like, look, the Jets have 1 yard per play. Like literally, it was 1 yard per play. So 5 sounds really great, Zach Wilson, 3.7 yards per air yards per attempt yesterday.
Higher than 2.8, but yeah, it's rough out here. It's rough out here, man. It's tough.
It is most definitely.
But you have to suit up, put some pads on, maybe get out there, throw the ball.
Hey man,
I don't know, man.
2 days is long gone, bro. The way my knees
anything could be better.
Right look, man, that's a fact. That is a fact. But anyways, it is our Monday recap. We're here to recap the week that was. Just one housekeeping assignment or announcement on Wednesday. We will not be live at 3. We'll rather be live at 5. So just one scheduling quirk for the week. But other than that, regularly scheduled 3 p.m. We'll be back here on Thursday. But we are going to break down, recap the week that was. And what a week it was, man. So the quarterback swag, starting with Justin Herbert, 40 of 47, 405 yards, 3 touchdown passes, 2 rushing attempts for 11 yards, 29.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, how great was it to see the Herb out there with a QB1 performance thus far on the week?
Yeah, man. In general, QB1 performance this far, and then just consistently over the first 3 weeks, this is what you want to see. The numbers that Justin Herbert is putting up as a elite QB1 in fantasy. It's really good right now what he's doing. He's putting up good numbers. I think throughout the year he's been pretty consistent as far as what he's been able to do. So yeah, I love it. Keenan Allen there for him. Unfortunate news from Mike Williams, definitely with his injury status. Hate to see from a guy that seems to always be dinged up, but that's literally why I guess they drafted Mike Williams 2.0 and Quinn Williams. So
Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston. So yeah, hopefully it can continue for Herb.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, just fantastic performance here from Justin Herbert, and they get the win. The Chargers get a win here. So let's move on to the QB2 on the week. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 of 26. Man had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. 309 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 28.4 PPR points on the day. Greg, what were your thoughts on the performance here by Tua Tagovailoa?
Yeah, Tua and this offense, it's crazy. The points that he put up, and literally, he still only put up the 28.3 fantasy points. He could have had the room for so much more, especially with this team in this game. Just shows that everyone in this offense ate yesterday. Couldn't even get a piece of it with Jalen Waddle. I wish Waddle was out there for a lot of fantasy managers, including me. But it's good, great performance from Tua, who's basically been now also maybe arguably fantasy MVP and MVP as well.
Yeah, definitely. Moving into that category for MVP. I mean, they've got a great matchup this week against the Buffalo Bills. That
absolutely
we'll get to see. So hopefully, more fireworks there, and you get some Jalen Waddle exposure then, Greg. So QB3 on the week, man. So glad to see you up here, man. Lamar Jackson, 22 of 31, 202 passing yards, 14 rush attempts, 101 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 28.2 fantasy points on the day in a game that was more competitive than I think people thought it would be, especially with the Colts playing with the backup quarterback. Granted, it is Gardner Minshew, veteran, at this point. But, and we expected a big fantasy day from Lamar, but we expected that through the air. And instead, we got 101 yards on the ground with 2 rushing touchdowns. Greg, what were your thoughts on the performance by Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, good performance for here. We, did what we had to do, especially in a tough competitive game. That I feel like those rushing yards are even gonna show even more. So he definitely was able to do that, especially with the injury to Gus Edwards as well. So he kind of had to take over there in that aspect. Unfortunately, I couldn't win the game for some of my betting prospects, but they Lamar got it done, so that's good. This is a heavy favorite though. Heavy favorite.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm doing this Survivor thing for real for the first time. Like, I'm really doing it, like making my pick. There's actually, there's some financial incentives, so maybe that's why I make sure to make my pick. I actually freaked out the other day because I thought I didn't make my pick, but then I realized I picked the 49ers on Thursday. So like I had a little mini freak out. I say this to say, a large chunk of my pool was eliminated, and I'm pretty sure between this game and the Dallas game.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap out these let's round out these quarterback swags. The QB4 on the week, that will be my start of the week. Who is on a roll here? Kirk Cousins. I'm gonna take that. Tied with QB4 was Patrick Mahomes. 6, Jordan Love. 7, Andy Dalton. 8, Josh Allen. 9, Deshaun Watson. 10, CJ Stroud. I'll take that too because that was my stream of the week. And 11, Brock Purdy. 12, Kenny Pickett. Greg, any of these performances or just any other performances that stuck out to you in a positive manner?
Yeah, definitely seeing these young guys in there, Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Andy Dalton, how he was able to just take this offense and just run with it. Got his receivers involved as well, some big numbers. And yeah, Kirk Cousins, another QB 1 week. We just have to make sure we have a contractually obligated to say it, so we get him to say that he's a QB1 every week, pretty much thus far.
I mean, it's literally, man. I mean, we've been saying it all summer. I mean, all year that he's a QB1. We've been saying it, 2 years running now. He's completely slept on as a QB1. We've got a predicament in one league where we have him and Josh Allen, and I don't think we started Josh Allen one time so far.
One time. Yep.
And we should have started Kirk. Like
all 3 weeks.
All 3 weeks we should have started Kirk.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, we're in a little predicament ourselves where we're sitting here like, hey, let's trade one of these guys. And the weeks that go by, we're like, we were saying, hey, let's trade Josh Allen because he's got more value. But at this point, it seems like, Kirk might have the most value.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, man. I mean, like I said, I was high on him. When this week started, even last week, I thought he was a good play, and I think he's going to be a great play rest of the season, man. Honestly, the way they're throwing the ball, how efficiently he is throwing the ball down the field as well. I mean, if Jacksonville could have made this a game, we could have got more from CJ Stroud. So I really like that. I think, I don't know where we're going to be with waivers, Greg, but he's one of those guys. I said it last week. His season feels like what Herbert's rookie season kind of felt like, where like he could keep this up.
Yeah, looking it up, I think he's only at 20% rostered. A lot of room for growth in this fantasy football, and I think that will grow exponentially after this week.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to the quarterback Jags, man. And there's not that many, but there's a few. The one big name that really sticks out, Justin Fields. I mean, I don't think anybody.
I went into the week. Yeah, tough. I went into the week starting Matthew Stafford in one league over Fields, so I already had lows in confidence in him. But yeah, it's 3 weeks. I think is a good amount of data to kind of start making some bench decisions for him.
Oh no, yeah, he should have been on your bench. I mean, I had Bruce come on here. We talked about that situation as well. Like, you couldn't, with any confidence, put Justin Fields in your lineup. with what he's been showing. But we also said that he's not a guy I'm cutting because we've seen this exact movie 3 years in a row, right? Like he doesn't play well, especially when you consider the Bears aren't including any quarterback design runs.
Yeah, it's
And then
crazy.
the moment that they start introducing those plays, his fantasy value takes, it starts to reach that ceiling that we've seen. Um, and for that reason, I think he has to continue to be on your bench. He can't be obviously in your lineup, but I'm not going to drop him unless I literally don't have the space. Like, maybe you're in a league, you don't have IR spots and you're sitting there holding a Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley or Cooper Kupp, or maybe you have two of the three, right? Like, and you can't go ahead and hold a number 2 quarterback. Like, yeah, you got to make tough decisions, but he's a guy that, again, we've seen this happen before, that he ends up being like a top 3 fantasy option, and it could very easily happen again.
Yeah, I think he's based off what you were saying last couple of years. I think his value is still worth to be on the bench. Just yeah, not playable right now.
Um, yeah, and then Trevor Lawrence just came through with a dud of a day there against Houston. I mean, we know Houston's pass defense has been good in the past, but they were down some guys, so you thought maybe Trevor Lawrence could get it done, but it just didn't seem that happened this week. And then Russell Wilson, who was a popular stream candidate. I think he was your stream of the week too, Greg, right?
Yes,
He
sir.
just he like I didn't, and again, I didn't watch much of this game. I was at the Jets game, but in a game where there's 70 points being scored by the opposing offense, like I would think you have a much better fantasy day. But are you concerned about any, Trevor Lawrence, or obviously Russell Wilson's a guy that's like not really started in multiple 12-team leagues typically, but are you concerned, any interest in his ability to potentially pick this up?
Yeah, I'm definitely more concerned for a little concerned for Fields. Trevor Lawrence, 2 straight weeks. Either this Kansas City defense is better than we thought they were going into the season, or he's had 2 straight weeks where he hasn't really overcome the defense as far as fantasy wise, and that's kind of I think where he was being drafted as to be a QB1 to kind of be matchup proof. But so we'll see with Trevor Lawrence kind of getting to that next level.
All right, let's move on to the running back position, man. With the running back Swags and Devon A. Chan, literally just read that he that's how he wants his name pronounced. I know everyone's been saying A Chain, but it's Devon A. Chan. Really, what a day, man. 18 carries, 203 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, added four receptions for 30 receiving yards and 2 touchdown receptions. One of which was like this little underhand pass. 51.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, what do you think of this performance here by the rookie?
Yeah, both HN and Mostert were just running all over this Denver defense. I mean, at one point, I feel like Denver wasn't even trying towards the end of the game, like not even trying to tackle. It was crazy. So no, definitely great performance by HN. I think having any piece on this offense at this point in the season is just a great thing to have. They're one of the best offenses we've ever seen. In these first 3 weeks. So I think this is how treating them as far as you want a piece of this offense in any way possible. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, number 1 and number 2. You head coach in those leagues, you want that as well. Give it to me all.
Yeah, man. HN absolutely just dogged it. I mean, we knew this Denver Broncos defense could be run on. Like we've been saying it for a few weeks now, but to the tune of 200 yards, averaging 11.3 yards a carry. Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. That is
first down per
crazy.
carry. That's crazy. And his running mate was also killed too, so it's
I
crazy.
mean, let's talk about him. Raheem
Yeah.
Mostert, or Raheem must start. 13 carries, 82 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, added 7 receptions on 7 targets for 60 receiving yards and a touchdown, 45.2 PPR points. I saw leagues, people screenshot this on Twitter, where they started both of them,
Oh,
HN and Mostert.
wow.
Imagine this production that you get out of them.
Wow.
Greg, obviously you knew the performance here by Mostert. You touched on it a little bit. How do you view Mostert and Achan's ability to coexist in this Miami Dolphins backfield rest of the season?
Well, I see it for sure. I mean, especially with the pace of play for them. I think Mostert, he's the RB1 right now in fantasy. And even with this outlier, like not outlier week, he had a really good for first weeks as well. So he's been playing well the first couple, all 3 weeks. So I think I see him as an RB1. I think Achan has upside of being, RB2, low in RB2 right now. I would treat him as that, and with some upside for more in high scoring games and any game because at this point, it's like when the Chiefs were rolling back in the day. Like you just want any piece you can get.
Yeah, definitely. And can we just highlight that Denver Broncos fantasy points against PPR running backs is broken for the rest of the season.
Yeah, word. Yeah,
It's
this
just it's
it's
broken.
like you have to be like they're like this against running backs, excluding week 3.
Excluding week 3. Like, yeah, man, it's
Yeah,
broken. All right,
yeah,
let's
it's
talk about
broken.
the RB3 on the day, man. Kenneth Walker the third, 18 carries, 97 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Also added 3 receptions on 3 targets for 59 receiving yards, 30.6 PPR points on the day. Again, this week is not done, but these are some big scores by these running backs. 30.6 PPR
Yeah,
points.
man.
What do you think of the performance here by Kenneth Walker the third?
Yeah, I mean Kenneth Walker, another good performance, just trending up his fantasy outputs from 10 to 18 to now 30 breaking out. So I love to see improvement, love to see increase, and he's getting revved up really on this team, Seattle, just knowing how to run the ball, getting RB1 volume. And I think he's also got to be treated as a type RB1 type guy, low end RB1 that's gonna can have some upside.
Yeah, man. I mean, this was a great showing by Kenneth Walker. I mean, Zach Charbonnet also got involved a little bit. He played his most snaps, so I'd like to see that as well. Obviously, being the resident Charbonnet fan, but keeping it on Walker. He looked good. He
That's
looked
just a
explosive.
reason for you to have him rostered, though, for sure. If you have Kenneth Walker manager, or if you don't, not even a Kenneth Walker manager, having Zach Carbono on that roster.
Yeah, no, definitely needs to be rostered for sure. But Kenneth Walker, man, just continue to do his thing, showing out in Seattle's offense. Rounding out these running back swags, the RB4 on the week, Christian McCaffrey, RB5, Zach Moss, 6, James Conner, 7, Jerome Ford, 8, Jerick McKinnon, tied with 8, Travis Etienne, 10, Alexander Madison, 11, Miles Sanders, and 12, Isaiah Pacheco. Greg, your thoughts on these running backs or any of the other running backs that maybe you want to shout out as honorable mention or showed out this week?
Yeah, for sure. Zach Moss playing well. Jerick McKinnon, welcome back to fantasy. Doing what he does, getting in those red zone touchdowns from Mahomes. So you love to see it there. And Pacheco doing well as well. So James Cook is my last one I probably want to mention. So he's been, I think, first 3 weeks, doing a lot of successful things as a Buffalo running back. So that's good for him. He's trending to be a very strong RB2 rest of the season.
Yeah, I do want to just say I did highlight that this could be a Jerick McKinnon game. So
There you go.
definitely
There you
said that
go.
on the show. Um, yeah, Jerome Ford, I would hit sell on Jerome Ford right now because if you take the touchdown away, was not a great showing. I mean, granted, the matchup wasn't great. He scored 2 touchdowns, by the way. So, um, yeah, just definitely want to highlight that. Um, some running back Jags, though, we got to talk about them. I mean, you want to talk about how I never have to remove Kyle Pitts' name from this list. There's a guy whose name I have not had to remove. Granted, it's only been 2 weeks, but Brees Hall not had to remove his name after 2 straight weeks. Um,
Najee Harris as well. That's been tough.
yeah, Najee Harris, it's another guy.
First 2 weeks was matchup. You could really make kind of an argument, but now he's got that first good
First
matchup.
good matchup.
Yeah. You would think him and Jalen Warren would have like showed out a little bit, but neither none. I mean, neither of them did.
No, AJ Dillon, second straight week with
Yeah,
Aaron
man.
Jones not in the lineup, and second straight week where you get nothing. Derrick Henry, is that a conversation that we need to have? Like,
As far as snaps, I think that's I would say a concern for a person you're drafting as to be a RB1 as far as usage. Him Tajay Spears is definitely getting a lot of work. almost at least even, or if not a little more. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's not like the Titans' offense is explosive for them to be getting a lot of red zone opportunities. That Derrick Henry is going to be getting a lot of touchdowns, so that's not going to come either. So
Yeah,
it's totally tough for him.
definitely.
RB1 rest of the season.
Definitely tough rest of the season to see that how that shifts or how that changes in any way.
Yeah.
What about Brian Robinson? Yeah, 10 carries, 70 yards. You know, like
That's a solid floor, I guess, for him.
yeah,
That's I think his floor is they expect that.
I mean, typically he takes like 18 carries to get to 17 to 70 yards, and this time he
Yeah.
only got it on 10. So I
Yeah.
sound like a Brian Robinson hater when I talk, but I'm really not. It's like this this Antonio Gibson thing. I really want that to work. And then I'm watching Brian Robinson. But Brian Robinson played against Denver last week, looked really good. He's looked really good, this season. So just
Yeah, he has.
having some fun here. So before people yell at me on Twitter. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position, man. And then the number one wide receiver on the week, he did it through the air as a passer. He did it as a runner or as a receiver, rather. Keenan Allen, 20 targets, 18 receptions, 215 receiving yards. Also threw a 49-yard touchdown pass to teammate Mike Williams. Finished with 45.5 PPR points on the day. And Styles Furious asked, does Mike Williams' injury hurt Allen more than help? So Greg, I will post both of those to you. Your thoughts on Keenan Allen's performance and this question from Styles Furious.
So Keenan Allen, number one wide receiver in fantasy right now. Just squeaking out Tyreek Hill. So he's been balling all year. I remember you're a big fan of him pre-draft season. Like, this is a wide receiver one going for a very cheap price. So that was pretty good. To answer the question, yeah, I think it's the same. It's not helping or hurting too much. I mean, I believe in Quinn Johnson. I think he's gonna insert himself into the offense, and he's still got his main man. Keenan Allen is really the engine that keeps this car going with the Chargers offense. As far as the passing game, they get Eckler back next week, so we'll see if they get Eckler back next week. But yeah, it should be fine. I think Herbert's what he's got to do.
Yeah, no, you were 100% right. I was very high on Keenan Allen. He was my sleeper wide receiver of the year. Like I said, you were getting a wide receiver 1 for the price of like wide receiver 19. So definitely love that for those that have them. And to answer your question, Styles Fierce, I don't think it either hurts or helps. I think if anything, it gives maybe a slight boost, right? Because when you talk about guys that the quarterback trusts, Keenan Allen has earned the trust of Justin Herbert. Mike Williams has the trust of Justin Herbert as well. So I think on that standpoint, when a quarterback drops back, they're looking for the guys that they trust, guys that they feel like are going to, make plays for them. And Keenan Allen has that. So in those go-to situations, maybe Keenan Allen gets that. But I think Josh Palmer as well as Quentin Johnston, they're both going to have their opportunities to make plays. Yeah. And like you said, Quentin Johnston is like a Mike Williams clone, right? Like in terms of, he's in terms of height, weight, speed, they're very similar. So, if you want to take some of those downfield shots, maybe, he can do some of that. I know that was something that he wasn't really, a lot of his yards in college came after the catch. So maybe that's something that they've worked on as a part of his game, but I don't see why he can't add that element or bring that element to this offense for sure.
Yeah, and this is definitely not Keenan Allen's first rodeo playing without Mike Williams, so I think he'll be fine. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the number 2 receiver on the day, Devontae Adams. And I kind of knew this game was going to happen, Greg. You know why? Because I was up. I'm up in the league like 40-something points.
God, you should have told me before, yo. Would have put it back.
How crazy would it be if Devontae scores like 40-something points? I still have 2 players left on Monday night, so I'm not out of it. I just have literally Puka and T. Higgins cannot get injured or like not
Okay.
get a 0 in this game. Otherwise, I will lose. So it's irrational in some way, but I knew this. I knew last night was the night Devontae was going to score 40. Let's put it that way. 20 targets, 13 receptions, 172 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions, 42.2 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thought on Devontae Adams?
Hey man, Devontae, you know I love him. Always gonna have him as a top guy for me as a wide receiver, doing what he does. His fantasy numbers been trending up as well. A lot of big scores this week, to this ultimate boom week for receivers. So he came through, did expose this Pittsburgh secondary as the main option for really Jimmy G, the only option that would really came out for Jimmy G yesterday.
Yeah, man, absolutely dogged yesterday, and will probably dog for whoever has to play quarterback for the Raiders next week because Jimmy G might have a concussion. So something to monitor as we move throughout the week. But the wide receiver 3 on the day, turning back the clock,
Crazy,
bringing us back to like 2014.
crazy.
Adam Thielen, 14 targets, 11 receptions, 145 receiving yards, 1 touchdown reception on the day. Playing with the red rifle, Andy Dalton, 31 and a half PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Adam Thielen?
Yeah, Adam Thielen doing well. It's crazy. I had picked him up in week 1 actually and dropped him in one of the leagues. Tough now. Last 2 weeks he's been killing. 25 targets over the first 3 weeks of the season. The volume's been there. That's about 8 a game. So even with Andy Dalton, Bryce Young, he's kind of the veteran receiver that they've been leaning on. So yeah, he's available for sure too in leagues.
Oh yeah, I drafted Adam Thielen in multiple weeks and dropped him after week
Yeah, after
one.
week one was a rough week.
I think there was
Yeah,
some reason I dropped him before week 1 even started because I was just like, I don't think this is gonna go. This is gonna go well. I will say though, my opponent in that same league that we're talking about,
hmm
I got the alert. Sunday morning dropped dropped Odell Beckham, picked up Adam Thielen. I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna play Adam Thielen. And then I see the Adam Thielen stat line, and I'm looking, and I'm like, well, hold on, how is my matchup not closer? And he left him on the
Oh, he
bench.
didn't start him. If you're gonna make that ad, you might as
Well,
well
yeah,
put him
right. What's the
in.
point of making an ad and not starting on how?
Yeah.
I
Dang,
don't know, man.
yo.
We'll see. But rounding out these top 12s, these wide receiver swags, man. Tyreek Hill 4, Justin Jefferson 5, Tank Dell coming in at
Tank
6,
Dell.
Debo Samuel tying with Mike Williams for 7, Amari Cooper 9, Amon-Ra St. Brown 10, Stephon Diggs tying with Cortland Sutton for the wide receiver 11. Greg, your thoughts on the performances here by not just these receivers, but any of these other wide receivers that showed out in a big way?
Yeah, some good young ones in here. Tank Dell again in here is in here. Romeo Dobbs coming in as a top 15 receiver as well again. So that's good for him. And yeah, the studs are here. So I love to see it. You got big names in here: Adams, Hill, Jefferson, Keenan Allen. That's Debo, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Diggs. That's good for fantasy when your wide receiver ones are coming through, putting up big numbers.
Yeah, definitely like that here. Um, just like Andy Dalton coming in and just it's clear how the Carolina Panthers offense changes when Andy Dalton's in versus like when
Yeah,
Bryce Young was in.
just let
Uh,
it loose, man. Let it loose. Love it, yo.
oh man, DJ Shark out there looking like it's 2020, catching deep balls.
Word.
So
That's how the
um,
offense changed with Garner Mitchell too. You saw that the little shift in offense there, kind of a little loose for him as well because he relies on his arm more than his legs.
yeah, man. So let's move on to these wide receiver jags because God knows there's a few of them. Garrett Wilson, Terry
Situation,
McLaurin.
man. Situation.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
there
you
he
were
is.
saying, "Hey, Garrett Wilson might be a buy." I was like, "I don't know, I don't know." You talking to resident Jet fan with the Garrett Wilson on his wall? I don't know.
I really didn't think it could get any worse than last year, and he won Rookie of the Year. I mean,
Yeah, because Zach Wilson was forced to miss time and get benched. That was how it happened. Oh,
yeah, that's rough. Terry McLaurin is also concerning as well. I mean, we already were nervous about him, but yeah, it's looking a little more bleak.
Yeah, I think it'll be better as the time goes by and his toe gets better and he heals from that. Playing against I think I'm willing to give Buffalo defense a little bit more credit because they historically have been a good defense. They struggled last year, but Trey White's back. He's getting healthier too. So I, I'm willing to I'm willing to think Terry bounces back from this. Nico
Quarterback
Collins.
situation too.
Oh, look,
Uh,
Sam
yeah,
Howell's he throws the ball down the field, man. Look,
yeah.
you
No,
talk.
I'm saying like that the when he comes back, then it's like what 5-6 weeks down the line. You already had him on your team, and you're struggling now at this point.
Look, I will buy Terry. I will
Yeah,
go buy.
fine now. Yeah,
I will go buy some Terry. I mean, but if I have Terry, I'm holding. I'm chilling, right? Like, there's nothing else you could do about it, right?
suffering. You're suffering. You're not holding.
Yeah, you just it's suffering.
You're suffering.
Has it been that bad?
I mean, were you drafted Terry for? What was he going like as a wide receiver too? I would say.
But yeah, I mean, I think people drafted him before like the turf toe. He got turf toe
Mm.
like right. It was like the second preseason game, right? I think right.
That's early. Never do your drafts early.
Oh God,
Crazy.
this guy again.
It's like a preseason game. That's early, man.
No, we should. You're right. You should just wait till like week 17.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should just have a draft on week 17, play week 18, and then that's it. Fantasy season's done. Nico Collins also didn't come through. Drake London, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Reynolds didn't get a target. I blame Atlanta, man. Atlanta just can't keep pace with anybody. I don't want to turn this into a thing, but I had a prop bet. Was dependent on a bunch of passers getting over 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It was Tua, Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert. I forget who the fourth one was, but 5 and 6 were Jared Goff and CJ Stroud, and the other sides didn't hit or didn't come through because the other sides couldn't keep pace. It's very frustrating. But Treylon Burks as well, and then staying consistent with that Tennessee offense. Of these guys, I mean, obviously you expressed some concern for Terry. I'm expressing concern for Garrett Wilson. Are you concerned about any of these? Like, I think Nico Collins, I'm willing to throw out.
Yeah.
Drake London, we already know what that situation is, but
yeah,
any of these guys you really want to hit the panic button on?
Yeah, I think you said I agree with you with everything you were saying. I'm very interested to see how this offense, the Packers offense, is going to look when Christian Watson comes back ultimately. So, Jaden Reed maybe, but the Titans receivers, it's tough. I think wasn't too high on Burks coming into the year, just because that second receiver is hard for them to eat ever in a Titans offense. But if D Hop, it's tough. He's been battling with injuries all season. It's tough to go there right now as well.
Yeah, I think the allure with Treylon Burks is that he was going to fill this role opposite D Hop, where maybe D Hop commands this coverage. Where if Treylon Burks can get 4 to 6 targets in a week, that turns into like 50 to 70 receiving yards, like the week that he had last week, or you feel really good about that 4 for 70. You're like, okay, that's a pretty good week, But D Hop, man, is struggling. I mean, I think I had him ranked as like a top 18 wide receiver coming into the year. I mean, obviously he had the high ankle sprain and maybe he's battling that, but he just has not. It has not looked like the D Hop that we're used to through 3 weeks.
Yeah. He's usually used to playing through some injuries, and we were banking on that volume as well as far as targets. So, definitely not coming through as a potential borderline wide receiver one.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to these tight end swags, man. And the number one tight end on the day, feel really good about this one because my breakout tight end of the year, Sam Laporta, 8 catches, 11 targets, 84 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception. One where he was wide open on the field, like wide open. 22.4 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Sam Laporta?
Yeah, I think fantasy's golden child for tight ends. Like one of them was like when we wanted to draft with Sam Laporta, that guy that if you got him was a steal at any point in the draft. So we love the fact that he's coming through, getting it done here. filling into that hopefully can fill into that TJ Hawkinson void. This is an offense that loves to use the tight end 11, 11 targets and do what he has to do to get down the field.
For people that can't see because they're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Google Play, I am giving Greg these looks here because he said as soon as he said fill this TJ Hawkinson void, I'm like, what void? They didn't use TJ Hawkinson like this.
That's true. I mean, in spots.
In spots.
Yeah.
11 targets though.
Yeah, definitely.
When Amon-Ra St. Brown, when Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones, like everybody was healthy.
I think so. I think he had some spots. There was,
Now
I gotta look it up. Take a look on the game logs.
It's just funny because Sam Laporta got drafted and everyone's like, oh, TJ Hawkinson got drafted to go to Detroit where they don't use the tight end because that's what people were complaining about with Hawkinson.
I mean, it wasn't Kyle Pitts, They used the tight end at some point.
No, Kyle Pitts is the poster boy for underutilized athleticism at the tight end position.
Here we go. Week 4 last year, he had 8 for 179 and 2 touchdowns against Seattle. Look at that.
That's because they played Seattle, though.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Laporta's dogging. If you have him, he's probably available in some leagues. Like he needs to not be on any waiver wire.
Oh, absolutely.
To be like, I have a league where I have him and Mark Andrews. I'm just like, guess I'll start you both. Like, whatever.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to tight end 2 on the week. Travis Kelce, most popular man in football right now because he is quote unquote maybe not dating Taylor Swift.
No. It's confirmed. It's confirmed.
It's confirmed.
That's a public appearance right there. So you're sitting next to my mom. You're my girlfriend. You're my girlfriend. Are you? You're my girlfriend. Nah, it's a fact, yo. That's a fact.
Well, Travis Kelce, in light of his girlfriend being present, Taylor Swift, in the stadium, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 69 receiving yards, and a touchdown, 19.9 PPR points. Apparently, Swifties are learning for the first time what football is and how the game is played. I saw
good for football, man.
Good for football. It good for football? I don't know.
They just added how many fans to the sport of football? Potential fans?
Good for football. But hey, look, if you're a Swiftie and you're in the area of the New York metropolitan, New Jersey area, and you're looking for tickets to the Jets Chiefs game, hit your boy up because I got you. Anyway, Greg, what do you think of his performance here by Travis Kelce?
Oh, yeah, he killed. I mean, he did what he had to do. Glad he got this touchdown. Mahomes knew the assignment. Rumors that Mahomes did not even punt the ball or give the ball in the stands. So you know what that means. He gave his girl the first ball. Like, I'm saying, come on, you in the stands. Like, Travis Kelce doing what he has to do. But it is good for football because just the men that date Swifties or women, they are now being able to have their partner be in maybe to watch football with them. A little easier to watch some football on Sundays.
Oh man, this is gonna be so funny. I just read a tweet that was like, "Hey, so Swifties are learning about Gronk because of Travis Kelce. That means they're like one Wikipedia link away from learning about Aaron Hernandez."
Oh man. No, we're not gonna get there. We're not. We'll just that's when you close the computer and be like, watch the game.
Yeah, watch the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Travis Kelce is a gentleman, so he's gonna represent the athletes well.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the tight end 3 on the day. George Kittle, 9 targets, 7 catches, 90 receiving yards, no touchdown, which I really, really badly, sorely needed for my prop bet. But anyway, 16 PPR points on the day. Greg, you weren't here, but I talked about Kittle potentially having this day against the Giants. I expounded on it a little bit more. The Giants going into this game led the league in tight end target share against their defense. So when you put Ayuk being out, it just Kittle to the moon. It was there. What did you think of his performance here by George Kittle?
Yeah, great performance there. Doing a top 3 performance without a touchdown, that's always a good sign for a tight end position, especially. Yeah, and Giants are attackable tight end wise and running back wise. I think all season long they are able to attack in that manner. So Love it from George Kittle here.
Absolutely love this from George Kittle. Rounding out the tight end swags, man. Farrell Brown coming in as the tight end 4, Donald Parham 5, TJ Hawkinson, 11 targets coming in at 6, Evan Ingram coming in at 7, Pat Fryermuth 8, Luke Musgrave 9, Jake Ferguson, my tight end start of the week, coming in at 10, and Brevin Jordan coming in at coming in at 11, and then Gerald Everett coming in at the tight end 12. Greg, well, before we do that, I got to shout out touchdown or not tight end of the week. Our boy, Donald Parham Jr., tight end 5 on the week, 2 catches on 2 targets for 4 reception for 4 receiving yards. But my man caught 2 tutties on the day to make him the tight end 5. Greg, of all these, I guess, tight end performances, which one stuck out to you positively, or are there any others that stuck out to you in a positive manner?
Like, the young tight ends showing up here, Luke Musgrave, Jake Ferguson. I think guys we've been, talking about first 3 weeks as well, that they hopefully can show out, and they got their top 12 performances. Pat Fryermuth, welcome to Fantasy 2023 as well. Him showing up here in the top 12, giving you a classic Pat Fryermuth week, I think. So hopefully he can kind of build up this momentum here as well.
You're just not going to talk about him? Or you just leaving for me?
Kyle Pitts made, what we at, top 15? Top 20?
13.
Top 13? Tied for 13. So
he tied for 13.
Okay. That's what's up. 556. 5 for
41.
Ooh,
9 targets, bro. I know you see 9 targets.
Ooh. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's what's up. It's better than the first 2 weeks. So you got it. That's a positive. You got to take that seriously.
No, most definitely, man.
Yeah.
Look, because
we're only looking for improvement here.
Exactly, because he's not on this list. We're talking about the tight end Jags, the just the guys, where you have names like Mark Andrews and Darren Waller and Durham Smythe. You think on a day where Jalen Waddle doesn't play, the Dolphins score 70 points. And you think that my guy Durham Smythe would get some targets here?
Yeah, that's like, if you're upset if that means he's the only one that didn't eat. Actually, the only one on the offense. Mike White ate. If you somehow ended up starting,
Robbie Chosen Anderson ate.
Everyone ate, man. That's tough. That's tough.
And Chico Okonkwo. I mean, the whole Titans offense is a jag this week.
Yeah,
all of them. And I threw Dalton Kincaid in here because I've been saying that I would play him over Dawson Knox, but he ended up the tight end 35 right ahead of Dawson Knox. So
yeah, I mean, tight end consistency in general.
All right, let's move on to the injuries and take us right into the waivers. Right, so Mike Williams suffered what is now being called a torn ACL. So he will miss the remainder of the 2023 season. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's being evaluated for concussion. He is in the concussion protocol. So his status for week 4 is questionable. Derek Carr suffered an AC sprain, may take multiple weeks to heal. So he will be, at least from what he was described, Dennis Allen described him as week to week, which, we always say on this show. That'll be some time. So Jameis Winston, football is always fun when Jameis Winston is playing, man. Always fun. You're muted, but we catch the sentiment.
Always, yep.
Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver for Carolina Panthers, he is questionable for week 4 with a concussion. And then Travis Etienne, I haven't seen much word on this one at all, but Travis Etienne left Sunday's game with an apparent leg injury. So I'm assuming status, something to monitor this week. Just make sure Tank Bigsby, you get, obviously get him rostered. And then Dearness Johnson, who apparently took carries when Travis Etienne left the game, also needs to be on your radar. But Greg, let's jump into the waivers, starting with the quarterback position. Why is CJ Stroud the number 1 target at the quarterback position this week?
Yeah, one, because he's 20% rostered. That he's out there. So, we're not just giving you someone that is possibly not going to be in your league. He's definitely out there, 20% roster, going against Pittsburgh next week. But I think he's entering that territory where, he's overcoming matchups. For all 3 weeks this season, he's got at least 240 passing yards. Last 2 weeks, both at least 2 passing touchdowns. I mean, that's a great number right there. He can go, his cap is as high as the 384. So I think he's a guy in this offense that can get to his receivers. Robert Woods, Tank Dell, he's got weapons on the outside. Nico Collins. I think all of these things combining, he's got to be the number one pickup for you guys that can elevate your team, especially if you were, Anthony Richardson manager struggling a little bit with health, or just in general, your quarterback, you're a Justin Fields manager. Like, go get CJ Stroud. Like, that's a fact.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else we're looking at the quarterback position that might even have just a good matchup this week?
Yeah, Andy Dalton, man. He's if Bryce Young's not going, he's got Minnesota this week. That's gonna be a good game for him. He lit it up this week, and Minnesota is looking like one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So I think that's a definitely pick up if you need for a week rental, maybe one more week before Bryce Young comes back.
Anybody else, or that's it at quarterback?
I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
All right, let's move on to the running back position. What do we got there?
We got Devin Chain, 41% rostered. I think just off what he did this week, the volume, the potential that this offense is, I think he's worth the ad to be, a strong RB3 and have RB2 and maybe RB1 upside in some weeks. Jerick McKinnon, he's 47% rostered. I know his percentage dropped a little bit after the first 2 weeks, but I think, he's not a drop candidate just quite yet. I think, just the lack of resources in his offense outside of Travis Kelce, I think he can continue to be involved like he was last year, especially in the red zone. And then in deeper leagues, I'm hearing great news about Saquon coming back for week 4. But if he can't go, Matt Breida, he led in pretty much all the snaps, the carries, and the targets for this team at the running back position. Give you, was able to score a touchdown. You take that away, it was a pretty bad day. But if you're really desperate, need a RB4, RB with some maybe RB3 upside, to be him.
What about Rico Dowdle? Right? I mean, the production was there, obviously scored the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at a backfield, right, like Tony Pollard's getting all this work, Rico Dowdle is getting the second part of it. I mean, he's getting what's left, playing a bigger role than Deuce Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a guy that should be rostered.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're making an argument to pick up Deuce Vaughn in some leagues, which I could, I picked him up before Sunday started. We're just looking for possibly potential RB1 or just in a good offense that runs the ball. I think that's the play if he's going to be the number two running back in this offense.
Yeah, definitely. All right, wide receiver position. What are we looking at this week?
I think Adam Thielen's got to be first. 47% rostered, averaging 8 targets a game through the first 3 weeks, like I mentioned before. So
revenge game.
Oh, revenge game versus Minnesota too. Woo, yeah, you got to see it. I think I broke it up into the 4 receivers that I think can help you now have season-long value. That's Adam Thielen. That's Tank Dell, 32% rostered. Romeo Doubs, 41% rostered. And then Quentin Johnson, 32% rostered. I think those 4 guys are going to be out there to help you throughout this entire season. I think deeper league guys that can possibly give you some spot weeks. I think Robert Woods, 24% rostered. He's been a consistent wide receiver 3, I think, through the first 3 weeks. Kendrick Bourne, 33% rostered, probably the main target guy on this offense. If they're going to throw the ball, it's going to be to him. And Josh Downs, 2% rostered. I think has some sneaky speculative ad, deep league value for a wide receiver.
I noticed you didn't mention Josh Palmer. Any particular reason or just?
Yeah, I think Josh Palmer could be there. Adam Thielen coming back might take some targets away too. I think for a high scoring game, I think.
You said Adam Thielen coming back?
Austin Eckler coming back. Okay. He's going to eat some targets. He's going to eat some targets up. So the wide receiver 3 in offense, it's going to get looked at. I think he's, I guess, in that Josh Down area. DJ Shark too is the guy I should have mentioned as well.
I just think Palmer is playing ahead of. He's been playing consistently ahead of Quentin Johnston, so
okay.
I think he'll be the guy immediately out the gate. Not to say Johnston won't eventually overtake him, but I think for now, if we're looking for production to come out of that position, and that position group is probably going to be Palmer for at least the interim.
Word. Yeah.
What about the tight end position?
Tight end, the two young guys you mentioned, Luke Musgrave, Jake Ferguson, both 41% rostered. I feel like they'll be on this list all year. They might finish in the top 12, might not some weeks. It's the up and down society of being a tight end. But I think they can add some depth to your roster, and in good matchups, they can come through. Hopefully, I mean they can show consistency throughout the year. But they are rookies. They are young players as well. And Zach Ertz, he's 38% roster still. Had a dud week this week, low week this week, but just I think in general, the Cardinals are going to be some games this year. They've been seem like they've been in all 3 games so far for a team that we thought was going to be really bad. So Zach Ertz will be a part of that.
Yeah, definitely agree there. All right, well, that wraps up the waivers. We do have some questions. We have a little bit of time here, so we're going to answer as many of these questions as we can. Styles Furious asked once again, is Taysom Hill going to finally be fantasy relevant with Derek Carr missing time? I mean, with Kamara coming back, I feel like it offsets some of that.
Don't they not like to use him as when he's number 2? When he's listed number 2 is when they kind of pull him back because they need him essentially now to possibly start if Jameis gets hurt.
This is true.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so it makes me think like Taysom Hill is going to be one of those things I think we got to take on a week-to-week basis. Like we got to see it first, and then we're like, okay, they used him like this last week. Like this game script might be set up for that, right? Like so, I think we got to take it on a week-by-week basis.
He's the 1-2 player where his role truly changes every week. It's crazy.
Every week.
Yeah.
Triple Hunts. Do I trade Jacobs and Chase for Diggs and Ridley? I have Swift, JT, and Gibbs. So you're trading away Josh Jacobs and Jamar Chase, and you're getting back Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley. I don't think I would make that trade. And I say that only because JT still is not here yet. We don't know what that situation is going to look like. Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, he did get the lead role yesterday, but David Montgomery could come back, in a couple weeks. And then DeAndre Swift, like we don't fully know what his role is yet either. And then you're selling low on 2 guys and Josh Jacobs and Jamar Chase, who I do expect to bounce back at some point. Jacobs looked a little bit better yesterday. And I think as the season gets better, he'll get better. And then Jamar Chase, I think something similar with when Joe Burrow finally gets his feet under him. Greg, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think it makes you too much better. I mean, I think you add some wide receiver depth, but for the hit that you could take, I mean, unless you really believe Josh Jacobs is not gonna come through this year. In the hindsight, could be a good trade. But yeah, it's tough. I think I'd give Josh Jacobs a little more time.
Yeah, same there. All right. SN2009_8 says, my team is Kirk Cousins, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, Dallas Goedert, Ramondre Stevenson. My bench is JSN, Laporta, Sutton, Christian Kirk, Tank Dell, Jordan Love, I'm assuming, and Kareem Hunt. I'm about to lose this week and become 0-3. Need a lot of help. Any people I should trade for or away? 1 flex, full PPR. That is a stacked team. I feel like your roster is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he probably was going up against like the top guys, I guess, every week. Top score every week.
And if you're 0-3, right? Like, what is your 0-3? Are you 0-3 because you are legitimately losing every single week? Like your team's only scoring 70 points. Are you losing because you're leaving points on your bench? Are you losing because you're the second highest scorer on the week and you're losing to the top scorer? I think that makes a huge difference. But in terms of your players, like the players on your roster, I love Bijan Robinson. Obviously, love Jahmyr Gibbs. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, has been a little underwhelming. But if you're looking for, I think you have enough here on a week-to-week basis. Like I would play Laporta over Goddard weekly until Goddard shows me something different. Like if you trade Goddard and maybe, like, I don't know, Jordan Love to another team, like I think, and maybe get a running back. I think that works. Like, could you trade Ramondre Stevenson, Jordan Love, and Dallas Goedert to get back like a I don't know who's a running back, Greg, that you would trade for in that top 15, top 18.
Right
Tony
now,
Pollard,
Tony Pollard. Maybe you could buy low on Josh Jacobs and not have to sell anything of those players.
Yeah. So,
I mean, yeah, maybe the starting decisions. I think you can go forward if you want upside. Maybe Christian Kirk starting him over Chris Godwin right now might be the best move too as well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some things to consider here that you can find some marginal improvements here, but I don't think your roster is any reason to panic at all.
Yeah.
Liam Williams, the last question. Projected to win by 5. Who's safer tonight between Kyron Williams or Puka?
It's a good problem to have. I think safer. Puka's expected to play tonight, according to Sean McVay. That's what he said.
I think
I started goes Kyron Williams. Yeah.
You say Kyron, right? Like,
yeah, I can't even say volume. They're both going to get volume out there.
That's the thing, is they're both going to get volume, but every time Puka gets that volume, he's going to get a point.
If it's a full point PPR, yeah, Puka I think is the answer.
If it's full point, I'm going Puka. If it's half point, give me Kyron. That'll be how I would decide. Because Kyron's been a lot of touchdown production, so you could get 50 if you get 50 scoreless yards from Kyron tonight, right? Like, because he hasn't been getting it's not like he's getting 100-yard games.
No.
So give me Puka, because if Puka gets 50 yards, that'll come by the way of like 5 catches at least.
5 catches, yeah. Yep.
So I'd go Puka. All right, that is all, y'all. Thank you so much for being with us today and enjoying the show. Really appreciate y'all. And we will be back on Wednesday, 5 p.m. to discuss the rest of the week. Greg, anything you want to say to the people before we close it out?
Yeah, excited for tonight. Another two Monday night game doubleheader. So that's what's up. Hopefully we can get some good play out. If Joe Burrow, if you can't go, don't push him, man. I need you for Dynasty. I need you for the long run. So I'm fine with you sitting out tonight. But if you can't go, and kill, do what you got to do.
Let's go, Joe Mixon, my start of the week, man. Don't mess this up. Get it right. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. Have a good one, and we're out of here. Peace.
Word.